Chapter 8. The Final Solution. In June 1941, German troops crossed into the Soviet Union. About 4 million Jews lived in that region. Now came a new order. Don't bother sending Jews to camps or ghettos. Kill them right away. This was the next step in Hitler's plan. Special vans followed the German army from town to town. The Nazis forced Jews into them, then piped poisonous gas into the back. Outside the city of Kiev at Babi Yar, 33,000 Jews were killed in 2 days. They were lined up in small groups along the edge of a ravine. Then they were shot, their bodies falling onto the dead below. Within 18 months, 1 million people were killed. Even so, Hitler wanted better, faster methods of murder. He decided on something called the Final Solution, a top-secret plan to completely wipe out the Jews in death camps all over Poland. The Warsaw Conference. Outside of Berlin, at Warsaw, a conference was held on January 20th, 1942. It brought together top Nazi officials to learn about the plan for the final solution. The men discussed methods of mass murder. A poisoned gas called Zyklon B was to be used. They also talked over transportation issues, how to get all the Jews in occupied Europe to death camps. They decided the Jews would be rounded up and taken by train. All the officials at Warsaw gave their approval to the final solution. Poland became the land of death camps. The first was in Chełmno. It went into operation in December of 1941. 3 others were quickly built: Belzec, Sobibor, and Treblinka, with huge gas chambers. More than 1,000 people could be killed at a time. Gas chambers were added to the concentration camp at Majdanek and built in other camps as well. The biggest camp was the one at Auschwitz. Even before the chambers were built, Auschwitz had been a huge complex. It had more than 40 subcamps. One subcamp alone held 10,000 inmates. It had factories, farms, and coal mines. At Auschwitz, ID numbers were tattooed on prisoners' arms. In the end, more than 1 million people died there. The vast majority of victims were Jewish. Hitler ordered all the ghettos emptied. In the Lodz ghetto, the first major roundups, mass arrests, took place in early 1942. In September, another order was issued. The SS wanted 25,000 more people, including children. Parents refused, so the Nazis declared a 24-hour curfew. No one could go outside for 8 days. During that time, the SS searched apartment after apartment. If anyone resisted, they were shot. In the end, around 15,000 people were seized. At the nearby station, a train waited. It was only 30 miles from Lodz to the camp at Chełmno. Anne Frank, 1929 to 1945. Anne Frank was a young Jewish girl born in Germany. When she was 4, her family moved to Amsterdam to escape the Nazis. 7 years later, Hitler invaded the Netherlands. In July 1942, the Frank family went into hiding. They lived in a secret part of a building that housed Anne's father's company. For more than 2 years, the Franks shared the space with another family and a friend. They were unable to go outside, talk loudly, or open curtains. Anne recorded her story, her feelings, fears, hopes, and dreams in a diary. In August of 1944, the group was discovered and arrested. Anne and her sister both died in a concentration camp just weeks before the war ended. Anne was 15, but she lives on in her diary, which was found by a family friend. It has been translated into 67 languages and is read throughout the world. Death camps were located near railway lines, so when prisoners got off trains, they didn't have far to go. Transit camps were also set up, one outside Paris, another outside Amsterdam, and one in Belgium. Jews would be arrested, gathered in transit camps, then sent on to Poland and death. People lived in constant fear of these roundups. They usually began at dawn with a loud knock. Officers burst into an apartment. People were sleepy and confused and very scared. The officers searched every closet, every cabinet, to make sure they found everyone. They gave people minutes to pack before starting on a journey that would end at the death camps in Poland. Some train cars had open tops, some closed. Some were cattle cars, used to move herds of cows. Each car was freezing cold in the winter, boiling hot in the summer. Closed cattle cars were the worst. There were no windows. People rode in total darkness, 80 to 100 prisoners packed into a space about the size of 4 elevators. They had no water or food. There was no bathroom, just a bucket. Some journeys took days. By the time the train reached camp, many had already died. When the train doors opened, people thought, "At last, fresh air." Then they saw the camp, the prison complex with dark, gloomy buildings, guard towers and electric fences, machine guns, searchlights, SS officers with whips and rifles, vicious dogs. At Auschwitz, SS doctors waited for the prisoners. These doctors decided each prisoner's fate in a selection. The strongest went to a labor camp. Those who couldn't work were sent right away to their deaths. SS officers told these people they were going to take showers, to wash off the dust from the long trip. They led groups to a giant room to undress. Sometimes an officer gave out soap and towels, but this was all a trick. The door to another room opened. Prisoners saw shower heads. When they stepped inside, the door was sealed tight. No water came down. Instead, poison gas was piped in. The shower room was a death chamber. Everyone died in minutes. Afterward, the bodies were cremated, burned to ash in ovens. At first, the Allies didn't believe these death camps really existed. But the news spread. World leaders, however, didn't act. The best plan, the Allies reasoned, was to end the war as quickly as possible, and then the Jews would be helped too. But the war lasted until 1945. At that point, 12 million people, half of them Jewish, had been murdered.